Welcome to the Transfusion Medicine Data Portal support video series. These videos have been developed to support British Columbia's transfusion medicine staff and stakeholders in accessing and analyzing their transfusion medicine data from BC's Central Transfusion Registry. This video provides information about the data set in the recipient cubes of the Transfusion Medicine Data Portal and an example search. The recipient cubes include information about components and plasma protein products and refer to transfused products only. The counts include distinct recipient, records and actions, and plasma protein product doses. In addition, there is more recipient-related data on a per-recipient basis. In the disposition cube, we saw recipient-related data on a per-product basis. This now groups it by distinct recipient, regardless of how many products that recipient received. So let's take a look at the recipient cubes in our sample set and the data inside. After logging in to the Transfusion Medicine Data Portal, select the Cubes tab from the menu at top to find the Recipient Health Authority and Recipient Provincial cubes. The Health Authority cube, of course, shows data specific to the user's health authority, while the Provincial cube shows the entire province rolled up in a summary. Select the cube, and then select Run to open the parameters pop-up window. For the recipient cubes, the parameters include date and product type. The product type choices include components or PPP. To pick just one or the other, deselect all and move the product type of interest over to the selected values. Or click the All button to show everything. As before, if you wish to save this as your default, you may select Save as Default and Submit to run the cube. Of the three types of cubes, the recipient cube may take a little longer, as the system in the background is constantly checking to summarize the distinct recipients. Each record is reviewed to determine if that recipient has already been counted, so that they can collate those recipient counts together. And here we have, as with the other cubes, information about the data completion date, any relevant data caveats that are present in the system, and below that the parameter block for the parameters that we selected and can now change inside the cube, the Data Portal Cube crosstab, and by clicking on the crosstab area, our resources appear in the left panel. The summary present inside this cube defaults to the distinct recipient count. So that means within this time frame, in this sample set of data, there were 158 recipients of A25 albumin. As with the disposition cube, we can of course bring in the number of records, and we can also bring in, for the PPP products, the total dosage. Let's start in this recipient cube by looking at recipient blood group. And bring in the recipient ABO, find our orange line, there we go. Oh, and you'll see here that little wheel did not appear to tell me that the data is updating, so I know I didn't have my orange line quite right. There we go. And again, it may feel like it takes a moment longer to update our distinct recipient counts. And let's bring our resource panel back and bring in our recipient RH. Try that again. There we go. You'll notice this unknown column, but there's no blank column. You'll recall from before that a blank is when a field is not expected and not provided. And because we are dealing in the recipient cube with only transfused records, we would expect to see a recipient blood group. So any recipient blood group that is not available to us is classified as unknown. Unknown records are those where we would expect a data field and do not have it. You'll see now that this has expanded our data set sufficiently so that we have a scroll bar to move across from side to side. So now that we have recipient blood groups in, we can expand this a little further even. Let's bring in product blood groups. Let's bring in product ABO. And now we have quite a large table with scroll bars going down and the scroll bar going across. And of course, the first thing we'll notice is that for the PPPs, there are no product blood groups. So let's adjust our product type to just take a look at components only by going to the parameter block, deselecting all, and selecting components. And we'll give it a minute to update. And now we see only our component products with the product ABO. What's interesting to make note of at this point, and again, especially if you're going to export this data, is which blood group is associated with which field. You'll see that there are recipient ABO, of course, and product ABO. So within the cross tab in the system, you can select the field name of choice to see that, okay, these are our product ABOs, and these are our recipient ABOs. But once you export, you'll want to label these fairly quickly to remember which is which. Just to clean this up and make this a little easier to look at again, let's filter down just to red blood cells. We'll open our filter menu, add a filter for our blood product mnemonic. Let our filter list appear and select red cells. Let's clean it up a little bit more and maybe get rid of our recipient RH, just to make it a little easier to look at on screen. And now we have the number of distinct recipients by blood group who were transfused red cells of the specific red cell blood group. Let's add in the number of records associated with each of these recipients by scrolling down to the summaries and bringing in the product count. Remember, the summaries are dropped right into the data table. And now we can see 362, if we click 362 distinct recipients who were group A, were given in this sample data set 1,353 transfused records. So in this case, again, these are transfused records. So these may be aliquots or they may be whole units. But there were 1,353 product records associated with 362 individuals. And of course, if we were looking at a plasma protein product, for example, IVIG, we could also bring in the total dosage. Let's take a look at that. Let's switch our red blood cells. Let's clear our filter and close this filter out. We'll remove that filter from the panel and change our component to PPP. So add PPP and remove component. And now we see the number of distinct recipients and the number of distinct records, or equivalent vials, unless they were aliquoted, number of distinct transfused records associated with each recipient. Let's filter for IVIG just to make this a little tidier. Open our filter menu, select our plus icon, find our product mnemonic that we want to filter, and wait for our filter menu to appear. We'll pick IVIG. And this is our blood product ABO, which for IVIG is not relevant, so we can actually pull that off screen. Now, with our distinct recipient count, our distinct record count, let's bring in the total dosage of IVIG by grabbing and dropping on the dataset. And now, in one view, we can see the number of distinct recipients, the number of transfused records associated with those distinct recipients, and the total dose for IVIG grams that were associated with those distinct recipients. As always, playing around in the cube is the easiest way to figure it out. What can you drag and drop in? What does it look like when you shift things between rows and columns? And what are the different filters applied? Help you find and help you tease out. For more information about the CTR cubes, see Section 8 of the Transfusion Medicine Data Portal Manual. You can visit the PBCO website for additional information or email the data portal to obtain user access forms, request training, or share any considerations and feedback. And this ends the final video in our support videos series. Through all of these, we hope this gives you a better idea of the various areas of the Transfusion Medicine Data Portal, how to access them, and how to make sense of some of the data from the Central Transfusion Registry that you'll be able to find in there. Go in, take a look around, and check out more in this view-only data and see what you can find. And as always, don't hesitate to contact the Provincial Blood Coordinating Office for more information about your data and how to make the most of it.